not even being racist. That's actually his name. He's left with a bloody head. The scene transitions to our boy, who stops his car just outside the bar, knowing that John Cheese and talks down to him. He passes blood on the floor, and someone needs to get this guy to the bar fast. The asshole bug leader sees the validation of his girl, and thinks that they should punish the one who talks to him. And that turns their attention to John Cheese, who's about to get his ass kicked. Shockingly, Chen Kong dashes up to the ground and twists his right down the bug leader. It's not for the other guy stopping him. Really quick smash his face. The bug leader is surprised to see some bravado from the college kid and smashes him with the bottom on top of his head, starting to get started. Chen Chong misses the right in a second. His friends cry out in horror, watching him go down the hill, turning to John Chi to jump into action. Unfortunately, they're quickly detained. The final member of their team is quivering like a puppy on the side. The waiter is struggling to maintain his senses, while the rest of the thugs are busy beating down John Chi's room. Unfortunately, his punch is dodged, so he doesn't even take one of them down. Something happens to the waiter. This guy goes crazy with his bloodshot eyes and flicks into the battle like a man. He chomps down on one of them, chewing on the shoulder, horrifying the techniques. The thugs have no idea what's going on or why this waiter is not the same all of a sudden. They quickly try to restrain him, but the monster's strength gets the better of him. In fact, the zombified waiter grabs and chomps down on his arm. Gives him a full-fledged hand that overpowers the thug and knocks him to the ground. To everyone's shock, the same overpowered animalistic beast of nature is easily handled and lightly done. This raging guy is another of the years, who shoves his face in the screen and tells everyone else to stop fighting around. The thugs were stunned. Just now they were being destroyed by the waiter. And one kid had been pinned against the wall without any trouble. The thug leader questions Xiao Yang's identity, who doesn't explain a word and addresses Zhang Qi's position, asking if he's clear of any bite marks. Luckily he is, but Zhang follow him as they've got somewhere to be. But the thug leader isn't quite done messing around with them and stops them. However, one of his own henchmen starts experiencing a strange headache after receiving a bite. Immediately, our boy comes. Xiaoyang asks if his shoulder was bitten off by the same rabid waiter. The lackey confirms this as a fact, but doesn't understand the connection. Our boy internalizes that this guy was actually already infected, and now that he's received a bite close to his head, it's game over for him. Xiaoyang drags the zombified waiter, tosses him into the restroom, and slams the door shut. The wild beast keeps on ramming the door, but luckily, zombies at this stage don't have the intelligence to open the doors. Turning his attention back to the thugs, our boy permits himself for a serious ass kicking, questioning Zhang Qi which one he should take out first. The funniest thing is that Zhang Qi doesn't even know him and fails to comprehend what's going on. Pissed off by the kid's audacity, the thug leader rushes to punch his arrogance down, humiliating him with a simple motion. Xiaoyang grabs his damn face and smashes his head into the ground. The infected lackey from before rushes to attack him as well, but he's also destroyed with a single smack to the face, knocking him down. With the dude completely knocked down, his friend comes to ask what's going on, as a simple punch shouldn't have been so effective. His body twists and turns in pain, and Xiaoyang invites them to smoke, believing that only after catching these hands will they understand how to fuck them. Turning to Zhang Qi, he's given strict orders to head to the private room with his friends and wait outside. The guy doesn't put up a fight and just tells his friend to exit the room. As for the thug leader and his fellows, they're done fighting round two, knowing they don't stand a chance. However, Xiaoyang isn't the type to just let anyone leave after they messed with him like that. He accuses the thug of being a drunk bitch who nearly killed his brother because of his carelessness. Gives this guy a taste of his own medicine. He shoves the thug down and slams the door shut on him, stealing them inside. The thug leader slams the door, but he can't do shit since it's locked from the outside. The outcome is gruesome for this guy's fate. His own lackey has fully become a zombie and lunges forth to find its nearest victim. In the end, Xiaoyang gets to hear their screams as they're getting devoured alive. A staff member comes around to check what's going on. Xiaoyang instructs him to lock the door properly and to call the police, informing them of a dangerous patient with a rabid infection. The staff member is startled at first, until our boy shouts at him to just get the job done. Quickly, he locks it shut with his feet. Next up, our boy helps Zhang Qi's friends navigate their way outside. Staff members are concerned about the noise coming from inside the room, wondering what the hell is going on. They receive word that a rabid flu patient is nearby, but no one really knows for sure. Hearing about the flu, they quickly rush to check the live cameras. But when they arrive at the surveillance room, their expression drops to disgust and horror. Every single one of them has become a man-eating monster, ripping apart each other's limbs, causing the staff members to call the police immediately. Luckily for our boy and his friends, they escape the dangerous karaoke bar. He helps them get inside the car, and they quickly head off. Even though John Chi is grateful for the stranger's help, he still doesn't get who this guy is. Xiaoyang calmly introduces himself, explaining that he was hired to protect them by a client whose identity is confidential. One of them asks about the rabbit mutation, stating that it doesn't exist according to the internet. Xiaoyang reminds them of the situation inside the room, and wonders if that was also a conspiracy theory. Nerd Eyes worriedly asks about the cure for the flu. Unfortunately, from what our boy knows, there isn't a medicine for it. In fact, the situation will only get worse from here on out, and the world will be plunged in chaos. Speaking of which, zombies have already begun attacking citizens. The infection is spreading like wildfire, but even as it is right now, just a local outbreak. Most of the infected are in the incubation period, soon to be awakened. Eventually, things will become even more chaotic, which is why Jiang Qi and his friends must strictly follow his instructions. They all agree in unison to follow him, when suddenly he receives a mission completion message. With this, he gains access to items at the store. Some of them are supplies that he can really use down the road. However, the most interesting one is the post-apocalyptic cultivator box that doesn't seem to go away. Realizing that all three of these boxes seem promising, he plans to redeem them all back at the fortress. Aside from that, he still has to figure out a way to gain some trust. You see, in the original timeline, Jiang Qi's friends were slaughtered by zombies because one of the group members betrayed them. Among them, the man who ended up betraying them is hidden among the group friends. It's about to become a game of Among Us to find out who it is. It's been a while, so let's check out how Fujin is doing. She appears to be deathly afraid of going to the one of the supplies to her absolute horror, she hears someone violently knocking at her door. Wei-Jing doesn't know how to handle the situation and quickly hangs up the phone call with Xu Xiang. She takes a peek and finds herself relieved. It's only her best friend, who scared her to death with her surprise entrance. The bestie informs her about her ship at the first floor. She's taken away by the police by force and is also infected, and it's starting to make sense why things are chaotic in the building. She asks Wei-Jing about the supplies that Big Mac Attack promised her. Unfortunately, they get delivered. Adopting a different approach, she decides to take advantage of Xu Xiang's ego by injecting him with lies. They plan to tell the fat ass that Xiaoyang has a stockpile of supplies on him. Wei-Jing doesn't understand how her best friend knows this information. Turns out that she's been spying on him using one of her men, and has since learned that he orders a ton of supplies every now and then. Wei-Jing can't believe that her ex knew about the apocalypse in advance. Her beastie convinces her to tell Xu Xiang about everything, so they can loot Xiaoyang's supplies and make a fortune for themselves. Yep, these fake hoes know no morals. Arriving back to his glorious fortress, Jiang Qi is stunned by what he sees, not to worry as things are under control. In fact, he shares the spotlight on his new friends, Jiang Qi and his group. These guys will be joining them from now on. Of course, he also introduces Chan and we're happy to accept them all as long as they're chosen by Xiaoyang. He also goes on to instruct the grandma to show these guys around and help explain their value. One of them raises a request, asking them to issue weapons for their own protection. Now this guy is already on the suspect list for Xiaoyang, who understands that Jiang Qi is Third Eyes tells him he can calm the heck down, as it's risky to ask for weapons when they have people to trust. Xiaoyang promises to hand them weapons in a few days' time, but for now, they need to inside the fortress, each of them fresh enough to change into new clothes. Each is actually annoyed by this friend's interference, believing that they would have acquired weapons by the time they had them. The thing is, this guy thinks that they're being held as captives inside the facility instead of being protected. However, Third Eyes explaining that Xiaoyang ended up taking their assets so that he can fully save them. It creates another factor, as so far, they only know about a secret client planner to protect them. Meaning is a hard ass for absolutely no reason. Feels pissed off that they're not even treated to the shock because of the fear of his protection. Hilariously, he thinks that Xiaoyang is secretly trying to harvest their organs for personal benefit, and to prevent such a situation from happening, they need to make the first move. Nerd Eyes reminds him that if they end up being wrong, they'll be betraying him in the back for it. Yiming is obsessed with his approach and doesn't give a damn. In fact, he's drunk on power and wants to seize control of the fortress. He thinks it's a good idea to dismantle the young girl as well as the old geezer while Xiaoyang's away. With the way he's acting, Jiang Qi and his other friend are literally staring at him in disbelief. This guy's a freak show, and they're only just realizing it. Yiming quickly acts like he's joking around, that he didn't mean a thing, relieving his friends of some tension. More Eyes once again reminds him that if Xiaoyang really wanted their organs, he wouldn't be letting them roam so easily. Little do they know, Yiming is a slimy bitch and intends to act on his own anyway. He wants to take over the fortress, believing that ruthlessness is going to serve him well. In the next scene, Zhao Yang shares a meeting with Shan Shan and her grandpa, who inform him that Chen Chong is resting appropriately for his condition. As per his instructions, they've made sure to lock everything for safety. Glad, our boy thanks them and suggests they get some rest, as they'll have plenty of problems coming their way from tomorrow. One more thing, he advises them to be wary of Zhang-Chi's other two friends, because he suspects that one of them might betray them. That night, our boy heads to the rationing warehouse. Here he checks out the system's door again. First up, he taps open the cultivator box. Then he spends money on the sugar, oil, and protein supply box. Finally, he takes control of the armed deterrence box. With all three purchased at once, he gains rewards in the form of 50 corn seeds and tons of other valuable food items. He even gets 1,500 rounds of ammunition so he doesn't run into problems later. The rewards are pretty damn impressive for what they're worth. With this huge pile, they'll give them a supreme advantage in the apocalypse to come. The following day, trouble finds our boy again. Remember the rich asshole who swore revenge against our boy? Well, he's shown up with his friends to break the place down. He orders all of his lackeys to smash the gate open. But it's honestly pathetic when you realize that despite their best efforts, they can't even dent through the gate. The boss is infuriated, unable to believe the integrity of the door. Whipping out their best gear, they decide to use Molotovs, sending them flying inside. It doesn't take long for the flames to erupt chaos. With the Molotovs dropping inside, Shanshan and the rest of the group quickly attempt to put out the fire. With this situation, he gains even more conviction in Xiao Yang's words, who predicted that things will get more chaotic from here on out. But you know our boy, he doesn't like backing down at all. This man brought a rifle to deal with anyone who stood in his way. He goes up to the watchtower and checks out the identity of their assailants. Shan Chan's grandpa is the first one to realize that he's the same rich bastard from the highway. His men also spot them from the watchtower. The snob roars at them, demanding that Xiao Yong come outside or else he'll burn the place down. Responding with a cool head, Xiao Yong warns them that they have about 5 minutes to fuck off. His repulsive response ignites even more anger from the men, who threaten to use 2 crates full of Molotovs to burn the fortress. Suddenly, the system tasks our boy with another mission. Grandpa doesn't know what to do and recommends a warning shot. By the way, the mission objective is to eliminate the threat that is attacking the fortress. Our boy thinks that a warning shot isn't going to cut it, especially when they're dealing with scumbags who are directly committing a crime. Knowing that these guys have no morals or consideration for people like them, our boy takes aim and believes that he can't allow them to continue to threaten the lives of others. Saying so, Xiao Yong fires off a shot, eviscerating the guy's arm, causing him to cripple down and shout in pain. Xiao Yong actually wanted to aim for the guy's head, but because he hasn't used a gun in a while, it'll take some time to adjust his aim. Anyway, the fact that he took off the guy's arm is enough to eliminate the threat. They run off like scared little bitches, even though they're the ones who came to the fight. Xiao Yang doesn't want to prolong the situation, and knows that these guys will just show up at his door tomorrow, so he shoots every last one of them mercilessly. The few who escape to the vehicle quickly assist their boss to get inside, who screams at his driver to step on the pedal. I'm telling you guys, this man is actually John Wick, and it's refreshing to see a main villain. Despite their best effort to escape using the car, Xiao Yang shoots them down using his automatic rifle. The way he's handling the gun with extreme proficiency, it makes the old geezer question about the good battle. Well, it's a miserable ending for the battle guys. The car is wrecked and all. They brought themselves to the brink of the Next up, Xiao Yang tells Shanshan's grandpa to use the rest of their troops to protect the mess. But then, a sudden thought takes over his mind. Since they're already in the early stages of the apocalypse, now would be a good time to let these guys rot out here in training phase. They eventually become zombies. So he stops the cleaning operation and confirms the dead men to right where they are. What our boy doesn't know is that Xinjiang is actually on his way too, along with Jake and Professor. Which can actually be ignored by the events of Rich's behavior and patterns. At last, they finally arrive in front of the site. Weijing intends to bring her bestie along, but suddenly she gets pregnant and doesn't want to come. She has to come along to act as a guide, or else they'll never know which factory is Xiao Yang's place. Refusing to come, Weijing drags her outside by force, ignoring her whining. The 2 girls walk up to the gate, while Xu Xiang signals his team to get ready for the movement. He gets the signal to start the car, and then he's taken from the operation. Back to the girls. Evil Bestie only wanted to know why she was dragged along. Wei Jing reminds her that both of them share the same nature, so she is prepared for intentions. Evil Bestie gives a sloppy excuse, stating that she intentionally behaves this way so they can manipulate Xiao Yang easily. In their shock, they see a bunch of dead bodies on the ground. It doesn't take a genius to figure out who she left. They think it's a good idea to attack, then they realize that this party must have also been trying to steal Xiaoyang's supplies. This makes them wonder if Xiaoyang also died as a result of the shooting. They care little about what happened to him as long as the supplies are still around. At first they ponder going back and using Shushan to move forward. However, she recommends they move forward and sneak their way inside. The girls walk up to the main gate, but it's so thick and tightly shut that there's no chance they'll get inside. This makes them wonder if Xiaoyang ended up surviving after all. From up the tower, Shanshan addresses them and questions their intentions. They both pretend to be associated with our boy, acting like they're his friends. Shanshan quickly informs Xiaoyang about the situation, causing Guijing to get even more frustrated. Because she thinks he's found himself a new chick, her friend reminds her that you're not supposed to show delicate feelings here, especially when you're dealing with armed individuals. Guijing is actually fully confident in Shuxiang's ability to handle it, because he's brought guns himself. The only problem is getting past the door, because everything else will be easily made up. Xiaoyang comes along to take a look for himself, and wonders what Guijing and Wen Shuya are doing. Right away, he uses his eye and instinct to inspect their intentions. On the outside, his bitches are acting all cute. He senses distrust in the level of temptation. They act like they're worried about it, but our boy laughs at their sorry intent. Not just that, he blatantly shares his knowledge of the podcast Xiaoyang also lived on the topic. Both of these hoes have surprised me with their expression, not knowing how the hell things are going to go. And people show their mercy, are admiring how they want each other. Each and every shoot at the end of the action going to such lengths. People best to take things into their head and reminds you to stay calm, because they're dealing with someone with a gun. And of course, our boy isn't one of the only children in the land. That would be too easy to line them. Suddenly, one of the bodies of the dead men turns into a full-fledged zombie. But not just that, the rest of them are doing it too. The same rabbit flu they saw in the news is miraculously bringing the dead back to life. This is the moment of ultimate satisfaction for our boy. He wants these two bitches to suffer the ultimate demise at the hands of bloodthirsty zombies. Guijing and Wen Shuya make a run for it, trying their best to escape the prowling murder machines. They piece their way back to Shuxiang, who has no idea what's going on. That's until he sees a zombie horde rushing after him. Both of these women are reduced to the brink of tears, begging the cats so they can come for safety. Shuxiang didn't expect to run into the infected patients in the middle of nowhere. It causes a change of plans, as he alerts his men to pull back. He doesn't even save the two women and completely disregards them. Guijing is literally too angry to die. The scheming bitch throws her purse at her own best friend, causing Wen Shuya to trip on her feet and fall to the ground. Defenseless with nowhere to go, the zombies make quick work of her, tearing apart her flesh and enjoying their meal. While she's being torn apart, Wen Shuya curses Guijing, swearing that she'll face an ugly death when her time comes. Making her own escape, the crazy bitch runs away, thinking she did the right thing. Witnessing such a horrific scene, Xiaoyang achieves system points for her threat, while Shanshan watches from forward. He also gains access to another mission to kill the lingering zombies from her base. Shanshan can't believe that the infection is so potent that it causes the dead to return back to life. With this, the apocalypse has officially begun. Xiaoyang tells her that mutations will run rampant, and the people who are infected will turn into zombies even after death. Sensing that he needs to update his team, he calls for immediate behavior. In the next scene, they're all sat discussing what to do next. Xiaoyang instructs everyone to stay vigilant and lock everything down completely, making sure that their bodies adapt to the source of the infection. If their bodies can healthily adapt, they'll be at less risk of a sudden mutation. Even then, Zhang Qi is worried sick for his injured friend. Chen Chong is still resting in the infirmary, and unfortunately for him, his infection is slowly taking over him. The city's up in flames, chaos is ensuing outside and ravaging the world. We turn to Zhang Qi, who orders his family to stay home while he's going to go to the warehouse and collect all the supplies he has. He also strictly tells them not to open the door for anyone. But things aren't looking so great for them as someone's already banging on the door. Gesturing his family to stay quiet, he approaches the door with a golf club in his hand, ready to knock the shit out of any infected person. He realizes it's just Yang Tao outside and lets him guard him. That ends up being his ultimate mistake, because Yang Tao has brought his friends to beat the shit out of his boss. They kick him down as he demands to be let go of, even though the boss showed consideration to Yang Tao also. His own lackey ended up betraying him. Of course, Yang Tao reminds his former boss that he was disgraced and tossed around like a lapdog. It's the opposite of being fantastic. Zhang Chengji reminds him of the down payment he gave for Yang Tao's sake so he could get a house. Instead of being grateful for that helpful gesture, Yang Tao acts like it shouldn't be a big deal since his boss has enough money to buy several houses all at once. He's here for the warehouse keys to rob the supplies. The boss doesn't comply, causing this bastard to attack his family. Yang Tao drags his wife by her hair, causing the little boy to roar at him for hurting his mother. The poor kid can only do so much. Yang Tao doesn't even spare him and smacks the kid with a heavy slap. Zhang Shengji roars at him for hurting his defenseless wife and child. Being the evil son of a bitch, anything that's left. The boss reminds him of their recent best client, Xiaoyang, who bought everything, including even the expired food. There's practically nothing left in their stock. The mention of Xiaoyang makes Yang Tao realize something all of a sudden. If they can just steal those supplies from our boy, things will be easy for them, as they'll have a decade's worth of ration on them. Of course, even the boss thinks that's a bad idea, because he knows from his previous encounter with Xiaoyang that he isn't a pushover. He even suspects that Xiaoyang must have learned about the apocalypse long before it happened, and prepared accordingly. Yang Tao doesn't even take it up as part of his mission, and instead forces his former boss to do the dirty work. Zhang Shengji has no idea what he's talking about until the bastard puts his family at risk. This means that if he doesn't secure Xiaoyang's supplies, they'll just take out their frustrations on his wife and child. It's a depressing situation for this guy. Back at the fortress, things aren't looking good for Zhang Qi's friend. He's turned into an animal without any regard for reason. The group despairs at the sight of watching their friend get reduced to such a pitiful state. Finally, Yiming suggests that they dispose of him. Once again, Xiaoyang is made suspicious by his words. Zhang Qi can't believe the words coming out of Yiming's mouth. However, this guy is actually serious, believing that there's no reason to keep an infected person alive, especially when they're already dead. He understands that if he were ever to break out of containment, he will endanger the rest of them. His words are painful but true. Xiaoyang agrees that there's no cure, so there's no way to bring their friend back to life. To test Yiming's resolve, our boy offers him a blade, just to see what he'll do with it. The guy is startled at first, but eventually realizes what's going on. Xiaoyang wants him to kill his infected friend. Yiming's body shivers at the sight of the blade, while our boy eggs him on, reminding him that he's the one who wanted a weapon from the beginning. It's finally time for him to pick it up and peacefully send off his friend. Interrupting their conversation, Zhang Qi forces the blade out of their hands. He understands the weight of the responsibility involved, and volunteers for the task instead. Our boy quickly reminds him that if he follows through with this job, he's not going to brush off easily. Zhang Qi is prepared to trust in Xiaoyang's words, and that's why he's ready to do the job. Seeing his confidence, he allows Zhang Qi to make his move. In the very next scene, he loads the blade and is seconds away from slashing his face. But shockingly, Xiaoyang stops him at the last second. Even though they agreed on everything, suddenly he changed his mind. Turns out that Chen Chong's condition is special, which is why Xiaoyang doesn't want to end his life as he's still got some use for him. It's actually because the system alerted him about a rare mutation in his case. Now alone in the room, our boy checks his state. Chen Chong is a savage beast as he is right now. Xiaoyang is fearless. This man goes up to his face and reminds him that he's still got one last job to do. The following day, a car crashes straight into a pole. It's actually the boss, who appears to have such shitty luck today that he can't even drive properly. Thankfully, he's pretty close to the fortress, so the distance can be traversed by foot. However, things get a lot more complicated when an ugly zombie attacks him. Unfortunately, the boss ends up getting bitten on his arm. He shoves the mad beast back down and runs back to his car. Grabbing a metal pipe, this man literally knocks the sonic rings out of the zombie's head. He doesn't even stop there, continuing to smash the creature's head.
Hey, how's it going, Drake?
Well, he wasted far too much time on one zombie as others are also gaining up on him. With his compromised condition, he keeps walking in the direction of the fortress. Speaking of which, our boy's got his crew locked and loaded. Each of them are armed with weapons to kill the zombies lingering around.
Oh, that's very lucky.
Is struggling with the protective gear covering important.
That's very lucky, actually. My first four tenfolds. Cool. Uh, Not that long ago, to be honest, and I was very lucky to get him to get an all-star Sung Jin Woo because I was trying to get a trade on him, and I was like, cool, let me just run a trade on him to see what I get, and then I got all-star, and I'm like, oh, okay, so no rolling off that because there ain't no telling when I would get another all-star ever again. Yeah, Sung Jin Woo is the best ground unit, actually. Well, him and Coco Shiba are the best ground units. Um, I'm grinding for Ghost 3. I'm grinding for Ghost 3 so I can Ascension Urioka. Because I can do the Urioka thing. That's if I can do it. I'm not sure if I can do it. Okay, cool. I don't mind. Yeah, I failed. Yeah, it seems like I can't always do expert. It seems like I can only do expert for certain maps. Or either that or I just need to play Sung Jin Woo down. But it says Sung Jin Woo had a disadvantage, which is why I didn't place him down to begin with.
Parts of her body. Even though it's uncomfortable, it's necessary to wear. Xiaoyang points out that zombies are known for their explosive power, and it can get overwhelming for them when they lack combat experience. He's fine with them taking it off later on. Outside the base, they're locking down on one zombie as their main target. Xiaoyang instructs his team to get ready as they're within range to strike. Suddenly, the zombie catches sight of them and initiates its attack. As it bursts towards our boy, Xiaoyang reminds his team of the instructions he fed them earlier. Everyone is tasked to cover for each other and maintain good distance. He quickly dodges the zombie's lunge and shows them a visual demonstration of how to create an opening after avoiding an attack. The best areas to strike are the creature's temples and nape. Think of it like Attack on Titan, the neck is their weakness. Surprisingly, Four Eyes is brave enough to smash his weapon into the zombie's face, but instead of cutting through with his blade, he only ends up hurting himself. I was glazing him and he ended up losing all of his aura in the same scene. Xiaoyang emphasizes that attacking the skull is useless. It's the least effective move they could pull off in a battle. It also gives the zombie a window to attack the dude, forcing Four Eyes to block with his blade. The creature really wants a piece of him while he's quivering in fear for backup. Xiaoyang is at least impressed with the way he handled his defense. Next up is Jiang Qi, who goes right in to target the monster's neck. The zombie is struck precisely at its weak spot, creating an opening for the rest of the team to keep on bashing it to death. Our boy highlights the importance of striking numerous times to ensure a successful kill. Jiang Qi looks back to ask how they're doing, to which our boy replies that they should know the answer themselves. However, a zombie is rushing to attack him from his blind side, causing Jiang Qi to shout and alert him. The mindless beast is inches away from biting his shoulder, but even then, Xiaoyang quickly turns back and grabs him by the head, displaying no signs of fear in his approach. Once again, he uses this as a lesson to teach them the importance of keeping an eye on their surroundings. The rest of them are amazed by his incredible reflexes and quick thinking abilities. Okay, let's go and see what the boss is doing. The boss is over here regretting his life's choices, as he spots a bunch of vehicles stopped right outside the fortress. This makes him wonder if Xiaoyang has already been killed by another party. Suddenly, he hears a bunch of people talking to each other. He recognizes one of the voices as Xiaoyang's and slowly draws near to see what's going on. Spying on the group from behind a car, he can't believe what he's seeing. Xiaoyang and his team are hunting down zombies without much struggle. Unbeknownst to this unlucky guy, Wen Shuya's zombified corpse crawls out from under the car and grabs his leg. This bitch really doesn't know how to die. She causes him to trip and fall. Left completely defenseless, the boss braces himself as the zombie hastens to feast on him. Right as she's about to kill him, her head gets blown to bits. It's Xiaoyang, who came just in time to save his life. The boss shoves her headless corpse to the side, while our boy questions what he's even doing here of all places. The boss explains the situation, but before he gets to say anything, Xiaoyang unfortunately spots his infected bite mark. He puts the gun over his head, stating that he's already a lost cause. The boss begs him to at least hear him out before shooting, even though Xiaoyang is willing to give an ear to his request. He's not going to let this guy come near him. Filled with grief, even the boss understands that he's done for. The clock is ticking down for him to become a zombie. But the last thing he wants is for his family to experience the same tragic fate. He reveals how Yang Tao terrorized his family, and is currently holding them hostage in exchange for Xiaoyang's supplies. Even though Zhang Shengji has done a lot of bad things in his life, he's never done anything close to what Yang Tao is doing right now. In any case, his family is innocent. but he knows that Yang Tao won't spare their lives. That's why he's begging for help, for Xiaoyang to take mercy and save his family. The situation is conflicting for our protagonist. He understands that Zhang Shenjie is a selfish man, but at the same time, he did help out with the delivery of the supplies. What's more is that even though his team is well made, the ratio between men and women is unequal. Xiaoyang thinks that improvements could be made in light of that. He gets even happier after receiving a system mission to protect the boss's family, allotting him 25 points for completion. There's also his current mission, which is to kill all the undead lurking outside his base. Anyway, Xiaoyang agrees to take responsibility for the boss family. Hearing such words, the soon-to-be infected Zhang Shengzhe plummets to the ground, forever grateful for his actions. But now, it's time. Even the boss knows that he'll be infected soon, and he doesn't want to die a human's death. Understanding his situation, Xiaoyang orders Shanshan to grab a bike from the storage room. She doesn't get his attention, so she goes to grab one anyway. As for our boy, he tells the boss to isolate himself from the crowd in a place where no one can reach him. Even though he doesn't explain the reason why, he thinks it's the best strategy to use before he becomes infected. Accepting his suggestion, the boss thanks him once again. In the next scene, we can see Zhang Shengzhe racing off on his bike. He's slowly turning into an infected, and his final thoughts before turning into one are those of his family. With him gone, Xiaoyang turns to the pile of zombies that they've all killed. Pouring gasoline on top of their corpses, he decides to burn all of them to ashes. The team has officially conducted a proper training session. Xiaoyang has become confident in their ability to fend off a bunch of isolated zombies without any problem, as long as they work together. However, with their current skill, they'll be unable to take on a small horde or even a zombie wave. That's going to need some time to adapt to. Xiaoyang telesells his team to follow him, and in the next scene, we're facing yet another one of the storage rooms. Our boy uses the old geezer to watch over the weapons storage room for tonight, as he'll be heading over to the city. Of course, Shanshan's grandpa is worried that he's leaving off to explore the city. It doesn't make any sense for him to do that. Zhang Qi and Four Eyes volunteer to tag along for the mission too, but our boy refuses them, stating that it's a level of danger beyond their current skill. That's why he's leaving them to just protect the fortress until then. With that settled, a few minutes later, he's already in his car with his weapons prepared for the hunt. For the first time in forever, the store is empty, and even the refreshing option takes a while. This time, he decides to spend points to refresh everything. When he does, he is welcomed by a bunch of new loot boxes that he's never seen before. Among them is the Black Tech box, a life-saving box, and an armed threat box. Also, with every manual refresh, the cost doubles, which means he'll have to be careful about how he uses the feature. Xiaoyang still thinks it's a good idea to spend all of his points on the fancy new crates. For now, he purchases only the Black Tech supply box, leaving him with 6 points left. He opens the box and discovers a physical enhancement potion, this time with a 5-point increase. It's an even bigger jump from last time. Reaching superhuman levels of strength, Xiaoyang injects himself with the potion. His body succumbs to the potion's effects, making him stronger than ever before. Our boy's destination is actually the boss's house. His wife and child are quivering in fear, hoping for Zhang Shengzhe to resolve everything. After a while, Yang Tao and his goons arrive into the room, while the defensive lady...
I'm confused. How am I supposed to beat this?
This piece of filth tells her that they're going to enjoy her while her husband's away. The poor woman tries her best to fend them off, begging them to stop what they're doing. We pick up the story with these thugs tearing Xiaoli's clothes without a hint of shame, while her desperate son struggles to shove one of them away. Right at that moment, the guy with the ponytail, known as Li, shows up, asking what all the noise is about. One of the goons answers, saying they're about to have some fun, and invites Li to join in. But the ponytail guy tells him that the job isn't finished yet, so there's no time for messing around. They better focus and get to warns the goon that he's messing with Zhang Xingzhe's wife and kid. He warns the goon that if she can't handle it and tries to kill herself, Zhang Xingzhe will have nothing left to lose. He'll come after them all, and nobody's getting out of that alive. He gives the horny gorilla some hope, saying that once they deal with her husband, they'll come back and work him to the bone, not letting him rest for a single day. The horny gorilla calls Li party pooper for ruining the mood, but he decides to take the advice anyway. With that, the goons start walking out of the room. One of them shoots her a creepy look, telling her to wait for her turn. The mother and son are left helpless, with nothing to do but cry. As night falls, the zombies start to roam the streets, and in these desolate roads, our boy is cruising in his car. He's deep in thought, reflecting on his recent gains. With 13 points in stamina, he's now got more than twice the strength of an average person, and his reaction time and control have improved significantly. He's zooming through the cluttered streets, drifting his car around corners, feeling the rush of adrenaline with every turn. The entire place is crawling with zombies, so our boy decides it's time to get out of the car. The city center is ahead, and driving would attract too much attention, so it's time to go on foot. Just then, he hears roars. He turns around and sees two zombies charging at him, but our guy isn't fazed. He dashes to avoid the direct hit, locks his shoulder into one of the monsters, and throws it hard enough to knock over another zombie. Quickly, he summons his sword and charges at them once again, going full throttle. With one swing, both zombies lose their heads in an instant. These zombies have become nothing more than punching bags for our boy to test his newfound strength and reflexes. He's amazed at how easily he's overpowering them now. There's no doubt in his mind that he's gained more than twice the physical strength of an average person. On top of that, his instincts have sharpened, and with his enhanced hearing, he can tell that the place he's looking for is only about 800 meters away. Meanwhile, a group of zombies is relentlessly banging their heads against the window door of a grocery store. Inside, the survivors are doing their best to fortify the front gate, piling heavy objects in front to keep it secure, hoping it'll hold long enough for them to figure out a way out. The terrified Brad asks his father if they're going to die here, to which the father tries to reassure him, saying that these sons of witches can't get in, and even if they do, it's still a win because they'll be reunited with his mother. Of course, the father's words don't offer much comfort, and the brat starts crying even louder. The officer gets annoyed and can't believe what the father just said without thinking it through. He's irritated by the brainless nonsense this father told his son, but the sassy father shoots back, saying if he had enough brain cells to think before speaking, he would have been a property manager by now. By now, even the officer starts to worry that they might actually die here. Just as the tension peaks, they hear gunshots. One of the zombies clinging to the door has its head obliterated, and the brat falls to the ground in shock, while the father is left clueless about what just happened. The officer tells them to move the heavy stuff aside to see who's outside, and warns them not to make any noise. As